Like a glob of mayonnaise out of a tennis ball cannon, the internet is difficult to grasp. We've already surpassed the point of symbiosis between physical and virtual worlds. It scares me to think about how much time I am absorbed into the web, as opposed to paying attention to the tangible surroundings, so I don't do it. I present to you Yeule's Serotonin II, a sequel to the original Serotonin. Very feel good, but my copy seems to go missing every once in a while. Serotonin 2 feels like a byproduct of this overwhelming internet age, but not embodying the anxiety, rather being an antidote to it. It's whispery, aquatic, dream-boating, slippery like a pair of sneaker soles coated in hand soap, and driven forward by the exciting pulse of a heartbeat, the kind that comes when you're deeply in love, or after you've eaten a shit ton of donuts. It gives you the sense of a smooth-sailing adventure. In fact, a teensy fraction of the sound palette reminds me of old indie adventure games like Cave Story and Treasure Adventure Game, with soundtracks peppered with chiptune synthesizers, placing up a sense of nostalgia and spoon-feeding it to you like a squelchy jar of Famicom-flavored baby food. It seems like Yeule is affectionately fond of this virtual landscape, but because of how wispy and aerated the music is, it sounds as if it could all dissipate with a gust of wind at any second. Reminds me of how some smart motherfucker thought it was a good idea to leave the windows open during a game of Monopoly. Yeule is very in touch with the vain facade of internet personas, signalled by an unsubtle tongue-in-cheek inclusion of a title like Pixel Affection, almost as if to have flashing signal lights next to a big chalky sign, exclaiming, "Yes, this is very internet." Yeule peers into the webcam to identify herself and observes the ins and outs of her ego and personal image, as if the inner workings of her thinking were some kind of mural, which she would have to analyse in an exam. But the further that she goes, the more that the confidence seems to decay, suitably up until the closing track of the album, which takes the scary dark ending route of the Choose Your Path adventure, pulls the plug on the router, and leaves you in a dusty, abrasive cloud of assorted noise. Perhaps the one truly vivid moment on the album, though I'm not even sure you could have foreseen that, from how soft, wispy, and syrupy the pool of sound is beforehand. Cleverly, at points the line between real and virtual seem to be blurred. As she says, looking into the night, talking to the ones who left her feels eerie chatroom-like, but it also evokes serious loneliness in the real world. Or maybe it's better demonstrated literally by the line that says, "There was a time when she could tell the difference between dream and life." The album's anxiety isn't actually that evident from Yeule's sound design or even her voice, and I sort of wish it was, to emphasize the album's rather powerful grasp of narrative. One of the most wondrous songs to recline in your office chair in unhealthy positions to, Blue Butterfly, has some of the most anxious lyrics of all, chased by shadows that briefly linger and fall like apparitions. A lot of the titles are purposefully misleading like that. The song called Pocky Boy is actually really bloody sad. At moments on Pixel Affection, Yeule's voice crackles as if it was transmitted via a weak internet connection, a subtle example of what the album is actually missing, something you can see. Anything evocative to give its music a more vibrant and citric personality, like a Barocca in the morning. I mean, it certainly has the cloud and fizz. Generally, it's lightweight and reverb-soaked, which smudges out the sharpest, distinct features of each track. Even when the synths of An Angel Held Me blare like the world's friendliest car horns, it seems picturesque, but not a significant, tangible part of the song. And if it had been, I would have felt differently. I would have felt like surfing it all the way to the finish line, like one of those big Pioneer rocks. So Serotonin 2 leaves you with pretty sounds, but not enough sonically to cling onto. And in its internet-inspired digital era days, it is nearly the inverse of JPEG Mafia's album earlier this year, that one with such gripping sound design but no narrative substance. Yeule, on the other hand, has a clever narrative and less of the earworm euphoria, though it's probably nice to listen to in a sauna.